Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear respected elders, brothers, sisters, and children. Today's topic is on narrow escape, better said, another chance. Since my childhood, I have been afraid of small, confined spaces and furiously fled such places. Later, I understood that this condition was known as claustrophobia, but I have never been able to master it. Now, unwillingly, I had to enter a closed, narrow space. I was wrapped in a shroud and lying in a long coffin. I could hear the voice of the people around me quite well, and although my eyes were closed, I could see them clearly. He died so young, they said, and added, he had so many things to do. It was true that I had left a great deal of work half done. I had not set up a good business for my son, completed the payment of the installments of the car and TV. Winter was around the corner, but I had not prepared the leaking roof or brought the fuel. Now the dream to establish a big firm and employ my friends had dispersed to nothing. Suddenly I was irritated by a noise that, as if coming through a microphone, echoed in every remote cell of my brain. It is all over. I wished it had not been all over. I did not know why the accident happened. I was a good driver. As I was trying to recall the events that had taken place, I realized that my friends surrounding the coffin were covering it by putting the lid over me. No matter how much I wanted to shout, I could neither move nor speak. I was in complete darkness and turned my eyes towards the light coming from the gaps in the coffin. I said to myself in horror, "Oh my God, what am I going to do now?" Seized with fear, I could think of nothing. Later, I was lifted onto their shoulders as they began to carry the coffin. Hearing the noise coming from outside, I understood that it was raining. The noise of the raindrops mingled with the creaking of the coffin. We must have gone to the mosque for the funeral prayer. I remember that although the mosque was so close to my home, I had never paid a visit. I had planned to start prayers after the age of 50, and I would quit the bad habits everyone complained about. If the accident had not occurred, I would have been a good fellow. The voice that I heard before repeated, "It is all over." A little later, my funeral prayer was completed. The Imam was asking people's opinion as to what kind of character I was. I knew that among them were some 8 or 10 persons who did not give an opinion. I accepted that I had given them some evil and harm, but if the accident had not occurred, I would have been pleased to make amends and duly compensate them for the equivalent of any harm done. After the prayer in the mosque was completed, I was lifted onto the shoulders again. Due to the inclination of the coffin, I understood that we were on the road uphill to the grave. I was aware that it was pouring rain and the rain was seeping through the cracks in the coffin onto the shroud, making it damp. Nevertheless, I tried to listen to the conversations coming from outside. Some of my friends were talking about the stagnation of the market. Some were commentating on a Western film they had seen the previous evening on the TV. Another, carrying my coffin, whispered, "What a bad day the deceased chose to die. We have got wet through and through." I could not believe what I heard, and I thought that I must have misunderstood. Were they not the ones for whom I had sacrificed my wealth and my health? A little later my journey finished, and my coffin was put down on the ground. The lid was removed again. The arms holding my weak and lifeless flesh put it into the hole where a little water had collected. Lying on the ground, I looked around. Oh my God, was it a grave? I did not know why I had not thought until that I would be buried in a grave. No one heard my silent cries, and my best friends seemed to be competing each other to cover my body with thick boards. I was in complete darkness once more. I began to pray with all my cells. "Oh, my merciful God," I said, "is there another chance to be a real servant of yours?" The same voice repeated, "It is all over. Everything has finished." I was shaken by the noise of the earth. With a final effort to get up, I opened my eyes. I was lying on my comfortable bed, and it had all been a nightmare. One of my neighbors, a doctor, was standing at the bedside. "It is all over," he repeated. "You are all right." I sat up slowly from the bed. I was dripping with perspiration, feeling I had lost 20 kilos in weight. It was raining heavily outside, and the whole house was shaken by the thunder. While I was trying to recover myself in front of the bewildered eyes of the others, I whispered, "Oh my Lord, 1,000 thanks to you. What would I do if you had not given me another chance to be an obedient servant of yours?" Remember death, but our lives are such that we become so occupied with the things of this life that we forget that we are going to die. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, the gathering of wealth has deluded man from the realities of life, and they only wake up when they end up in their graves. The mutual rivalry for piling up the good things of this world diverts you from the more serious things until you visit the graves. But nay, ye soon shall know the reality. This is a fearful statement, that if we live lives unconscious of our deaths and thereby be lost in trivialities, these are things that are really ultimately not going to benefit us in the next life. And what happens on the day of judgment when we stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and answer for each and every deed that we have done, when nothing escapes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when the things that we have in this life will be of no benefit to us. The only thing that will benefit us is to stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with a pious and healthy heart. When we die, we leave behind all that we have and take with us all that we are. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us all onto the straight path. Invite mankind, O Muhammad, to the way of your Lord, for example Islam, with wisdom, with the divine inspiration and the Quran, and fair preaching, and argue with them in a way that is better. Truly, your Lord knows best who has gone astray from his path, and he is the best aware of those who are guided. And who is better in speech than he who says, "My Lord is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala," believes in his oneness, and then stands straight, acts upon his order, and invites men to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Islamic monotheism, and does righteous deeds, and says, "I am one of the Muslims." Always remember, happy moments, praise Allah. Difficult moments, seek Allah. Quiet moments, worship Allah. Painful moments, trust Allah. Moment by moment, thank Allah. Do remember me and others in your du'as.